I love my oversized Lindnerhof Taktik combat pants. And what if I told you there's a new reproduction that just hit the market that shows some promise? If you know how expensive these things are, then you'll likely want to look for another version that you can use and not worry about as much. That's where a seller on AliExpress of all places came in. This is The.Gear.Locker, and I bought the HB Tactica Wattana pants so you didn't have to. And I really wanted to like these pants, but I'm not gonna lie, there's just some things that aren't cutting it for me. So let's dive into it. Now, it's super hard to get both of these pants in the same shot. So please bear with me and enjoy some of this beautiful B-roll footage highlighting the details that I'm talking about. What I need to mention first though are the positives. Number one, HB Tactica has replicated a lot of the details very well. From these front pockets and these side pockets with inner workings to the YKK zippers, knee pad reinforcement, and the general cut. These things from 20 feet away look pretty darn good. But as we dive a little bit deeper and look a little bit closer, count the stitches if you will, we're gonna start to notice quite a few glaring issues. But I'm being too negative. First, I love how these things fit. The sizing is human-sized. And without a doubt, these Lindnerhof Taktik or Wattana pants were made in human sizes, but a lot of the ones that hit the secondary market are definitely too big or too small. It's very challenging and very expensive to find a set that actually fits you. These ones are the size 34, and they fit me perfectly. And no areas feel too tight or too small. They're proportioned very well. I love the accuracy in the Velcro here as well. All of the Velcro is perfectly rounded, as it should be on the real one. One of the most challenging pieces to do is to get the hexagonal reinforcement that's seen on the knees. And while it is a little bright and it almost looks too close together, it is very, very close dimensionally and looks-wise to the original. The rear of these pants is very similar too. The reinforcement is excellent, and all of the adjustment points seen on the real one are also seen on the reproduction. I love that you can tell he used an original piece to match the stitching as closely as possible. So overall, I would say that dimensionally and with the features, these pants are replicated very well. But now's the time for the reason you guys actually came for the video. Let's point out all the bad stuff here. First and foremost, you see that this color is awful. The color of the original is far darker, and the material used on the real ones are a fire-resistant Pyrad material. It is proprietary, so while I wouldn't expect a replica manufacturer to have access to these kinds of materials, I would hope that it's not an off-color ripstop Flecktarn. What I also didn't like is how he spaced a couple things out. Like, first, you can see that here, there's barely 10 millimeters between the low pocket and the knee reinforcement. Whereas, on the original, we have a few inches. I'm also not necessarily a fan of some of the add-ons he did. Like, on the reproductions, he did a double stitch around the pocket, whereas on the original, it is only single stitched. He's also opted to create pull tabs on these adjustable leg pieces, where on the original, they are just straight bungee cord. Some other things I'm not necessarily a fan of include some of the angles and the cuts that he's made. Everything on the Lindnerhof pants are very sharp angles. And in some cases on the reproductions, he went far too sharp, like with this pocket angle here, or just a little too curved, like the waist closure Velcro here. Other minor details that I think fell short include the suspender straps here. This is a very bright and cheap feeling stretch material, whereas on the Lindnerhof, it is firm and much darker. Some of his belt loops are far too close together, especially on the front when they should be spaced out just a tad more. Before you guys pick me apart in the comments and say, oh, he was recreating Wattana pants and you have Lindnerhof pants, I've compared close-up photos of the Wattana, Lindnerhof, and the reproductions, and these consistently have the same issues across the board. Wattana and Lindnerhof pants, at least in the eras that I have looked, have these same exact design features that are missing or over-exaggerated on the reproduction. And before we get to my final thoughts, let's go a little bit more in some of the positives. A couple of things that I was greatly impressed with was the accuracy and attention to detail in the pockets themselves. They're all pleated properly with relatively decent stitching, have multiple access points as they do on the original, and he's faithfully recreated the ability to take Arc'teryx knee pads and place them on the inside of the pants. Props to him for replicating that well. Now, I'm not saying you should ditch these replica pants entirely. If you're a hardcore Spezker reenactor or collector like myself, and I know many others watching this video, I would stray away from these. However, if you're the casual Flecktarn fan, someone who really likes the design of the pants and wants something in Flecktarn, these might just be a decent option for you. The material's thin and not at all good for the reenacting space, but I'm sure these would fit you just fine for an all year round airsoft or outdoorsy kind of thing. Now let's get on to the price. I'm not going to disclose the price that I paid for my real ones, but just know that they are quite a bit. So to get the reproduction, you're gonna have to go onto AliExpress and pay a pretty penny too. These pants alone from AliExpress cost me $140 shipped, not to the US though. For some strange reason, the sellers that sell these HB Taktika Wattana reproduction KSK pants are not shipping them to the United States. So I had to get this shipped to a forwarding service in Germany, which cost me quite a bit more to then get it shipped over to me in the US. So you're welcome for taking the financial hit for you. Now, it was my original intention to have these as a loaner set, but in good faith, as a Spezker reenactor, I don't think I'm gonna be keeping these. Regardless, I hope that you guys found this video helpful. I know it's a very niche thing out there, and not a lot of people are gonna be even looking at buying a set of these, but if you are for some reason, hopefully this video informed you from a reenactor's perspective. From a general airsofter's perspective, they're pretty darn cool, but you be the decision maker on that front. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I appreciate you sticking with me and counting all these stitches with me. This is The Gear Locker, and we'll see you in the next one.